Hi all, this is Dr. Sage Breslin, and I'm wondering, have you noticed that there are a lot of decorations up already? I guess Halloween is sort of right around the corner. It's like 5 weeks away. But it's not just fall decorations that I see, it's Halloween. Like lots of people are ready. I was walking the dog, thus the non-professional attire today, and I noticed this awesome Halloween decoration. And he was really tall, like maybe 12 or 14 feet tall, and he reminded me of some of the characters from the haunted house at Disneyland. And he must have been pricey actually, but he was a really good decoration. But I also went into a store that had Christmas items already. And while I would like to celebrate one holiday at a time, what I was more struck by was that many of you who are harmonizers are really dialed into all of the holiday decorations and making sure everything looks just so, and making sure really everything is sort of visually perfect. And for harmonizers, um, harmonizers sort of in their best, in their empowerment, they really thrive on people having clear communication, especially for the end result of experiencing love. And so they're very attuned to their relationships with everyone around them and even their relationship with their environment. So if there's a holiday coming up, they really want to know that everything is sort of synchronous, right? Everything is reflecting correctly what's going on. So unfortunately, I guess the other thing about harmonizers is when they're in an unhealthy place, if they have been disempowered, if they're in a relationship, for instance, with a toxic narcissist who has kind of been feeding on their energy, they safeguard their source of power, their divinity, their old soul, and they begin to only serve that person. And oftentimes for harmonizers, that means compartmentalizing and boxing everything up. So if that soul sucker that they're in relationship with is very needy and demanding, the needy and demanding might look like, all right, you need to look just so. A kind of a classic soul sucker, disempowered harmonizer coupling looks like the trophy wife. And but that's not the only way harmonizers might appear in an unhealthy relationship. But by and large, they're going to do their best to make sure everything is just so. I often think of, when we are really hurting and we don't really want other people to know about it. And so we dress to the nines and every piece of makeup is in place and people can't tell. We put on sort of the Stepford wife exterior so that we're kind of protecting our vulnerability. And that's really hard because in those situations, it means that a harmonizer is actually blocking acceptance of resources and of help. And, which kind of further disempowers the harmonizer. And, that's just a really tough place to be in. And I don't think that a lot of people are really investigating how to re-empower or restore that old soul empowerment for the harmonizer. I mean, obviously, if you're really in a unhealthy or violent relationship, then, what's the first step? Like, get away, right? Go where the soul sucker is not, right? But then what about after that? What about the next person you choose who may turn out to be the same kind of person? How do you get beyond that place where you're sort of constantly struggling to keep your world kind of moving along? And, there's, I think, always that hunger to be the person maybe that you were before, the person who could just focus on the lovely part of who you are, the desire to help people communicate better, the desire for those heart matches, right? The desire for things to move like comfortably and easily, the desire to be at peace within your environment, the desire to just love the decorations because they reflect the holiday season, right? And yet, so many harmonizers are stuck in these sort of soul-sucking relationships with bosses or, or lovers or partners or whatever, and don't feel like they know how to get out. They feel trapped. Or they feel very isolated. And honestly, they don't want other people to know that they're with somebody who's treating them like this. And, and yet they've protected, right? Being the vulnerable places, which means that they're then, again, blocking the resources that are there. So if that rings a bell, or if you maybe know somebody who's in that kind of situation, at the very least, direct them to the Old Soul Woman quiz. If you know kind of more about yourself, you arm yourself, right, with information that gives you power. And we now have the Rose system at Sage Wisdom Institute that helps each of us old souls to actually band together and be there for one another and learn how to empower that old soul, embrace it for that strength, that power of presence, the passion that comes from that connection with the divine and with other women just like us. So, and if you don't know what kind of old soul woman you are, take the quiz. It's fun. It's very quick. I think it's 8 questions, and maybe you'll learn something. So if this rings a bell for yourself or somebody you know, please pass it along. I'm here. Bye.